It's because of the parents and what they're not doing at home with these children. Well, let's continue. Let's continue.
Teachers are quitting mid-year again, at record numbers. It's one of the reasons why. A student who wasn't assigned to me or my classroom was let into my room by another adult, a teacher's aide, and repeatedly ignored my direction and instructions to leave. Eventually, she repeatedly called me up and threatened me with physical violence, which sent me into a panic attack. I called the office for support, and as soon as the dean of students showed up to my classroom, I left and I went to the stairwell to go cry and have a panic attack. Once I calmed down, which took my entire lunch, I was expected to go back and teach my classes, because we had a sub shortage, and nobody could cover my classes for the rest of the day. By the end of the day, the videos that the student took of me circulated amongst the student body, and I ended that day sitting at my desk feeling the most powerless and defeated that I've ever felt in my entire life. The student was not given a consequence that was fitting. She was sent home for the day. That was it. I received no apology, no restorative circle from the student or the adult who let them into my classroom, and the paraprofessional received no disciplinary actions. He stood in my classroom and allowed his student to speak to me in a degrading, violent, and disrespectful manner. After that class period was over, I had several students come up to me and say that they wanted to jump to my defense, but they were also afraid of that student and afraid of for their own safety. That's when I knew the profession I once loved was no longer the profession I needed or wanted, and I left a month later. And that story is not unique. Teachers aren't leaving because they don't care about the kids. They're leaving because the system no longer lets them teach kids. They're not allowed to teach self-management. They're not allowed to teach respect or accountability anymore. We are told to keep the peace, keep the bodies in the room. Some are even told to pass at 20%. Just get the kids a diploma. Pass them along so that the data looks good. But when we do that, we're not protecting the students. We're doing them a disservice, because they are walking into a world that will hold them accountable. We could have taught them how to handle that with grace, empathy, and reflection, but instead we're supposed to look the other way. Teachers quitting mid-year every single year is not an exit, it's self-preservation. Deep down, it's heartbreak, because they want to stay. The system is just making it so that staying is at the expense of yourself and your own family.
Participation trophy culture. That's what it is. Send them home and tell their parents don't bring them back until their attitude has changed. And if they come back and they do it again, they're no longer allowed on school grounds. Simple. Can't act right, don't come. You know, and I touched on this yesterday, pertaining to a specific topic, but this whole participation trophy culture is so degrading to society. It's crazy. Stop coddling folks. Tell them the truth. Sometimes people really need to hear the truth. Not sometimes, all the time. Hear the truth. Face it. You know? Because otherwise you're going to get this stuff. And it's only going to get worse because those kids are going to grow to be adults. And you think that attitude is going to change? If it wasn't corrected when they were kids, do you think it's going to be corrected when they're an adult?
Guys! Find a new position!
It's going to be 10 times worse.
Nice!
10 times worse. Ridiculous. You sent the kid home for the day? What does that do? What? You sent the kid on vacation. Great. Phenomenal job. What a scout. You know? It's just like, come on. That kid should have been suspended for a bare minimum a week. A week. Not because sending them home is going to change the student's day. Like, the student will probably actually done something. It's going to put notice on that parent. Because now that parent has to adjust their schedule because the kid happened to be at home. You know? So now the parent is on alert. Like, hey, kind of, what are you doing at school? You know what I mean? Now that conversation is had for your parents and the child. What are you doing at school? I ain't got time to be, at-home, trying to find somebody to find. I gotta go to work. Type of thing. And when they come back, after that week, like I said before, if they act up again, they're no longer allowed to first. Done. No child left behind. We can't get students out of class. Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. Okay? I guarantee you start doing that, getting these class clowns out of the classrooms, kicking them out of school permanently. This stuff will all clean itself up, for sure. But of course, that's Hitler-like to the left, right? That's what they would say about that. You can't do that. You can't hurt those kids' feelings. You can't kick them out of class. They need class. Yeah, they do need class. But they also can't be acting a fool. Because now you're affecting everybody else's learning. I agree with teachers not being paid enough. I think teachers should be paid more. But I think that pay should be tied to test scores. If your kids are reading, writing, comprehending, if they're at grade level across the board, great. Or for your whatever you're teaching. I shouldn't say across the board. If you're a math teacher and your students are at grade level when it comes to math, you get a raise that following year. And based upon where the score falls is how much of a raise you get or how much you get paid. If your test scores fall the next year, well, you get demoted. You get some pay taken away. You start doing that and allowing these teachers to kick these students out and encouraging the schools to actually suspend students or ban them permanently from the school premises, test scores skyrocket. Because now you're getting the bad apples out of the classroom and you're giving these teachers an incentive, even bigger incentive, to ensure that, hey, I need to make sure these students are at grade level. Because if I do, hey, Dave, you want that $150,000 a year? Make sure that grade level. Make sure their score is, whatever, right? That can be determined, but those are a couple of the fixes that I think would really change schooling. I think, personally, and I think teachers would actually enjoy it, right? Because they're getting paid more, and the problem students are gone. And I feel like those two things are the biggest problems for teachers. Problem students and not being paid enough. Also solves both of them. Now, some people might say, well, demoting someone, that would be bad. Yeah, it's bad, but it puts that pressure on. Puts a little bit of pressure. If you want that reward, there's a risk on the back end.
I'm sorry, all of our operators are helping other clients. Please call back later.
There's a risk, that's the balance of it. That's the balance. Yeah, you could be paid $200,000, but you also could be paid $30,000. You also could be paid $25,000. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, right? Depending on those scores. So if you're performing well, great. But that next year, if you fall off, you get a little too happy, well, that pace come down. Don't buy too much. You went and bought that new car, that new house, because you got that $200,000. Well, that next year, you let your test scores drop. So how you gonna pay for the house and that car now? But that's the trade-off, right? It's a trade-off. Y'all get into the comments, let me know your thoughts and opinions. If you agree, if you disagree, why not? If you have any more suggestions, let me know. As always, stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.